Hello, I am Claude Meunier and I am an Earthrounder. I would like to try in this short video to answer a question that has been frequently asked. What is an Earthrounder? Well, an Earthrounder is a pilot who has flown around the world in a light aircraft. According to the Fédération Aéronautique Internationale of Switzerland, a light aircraft is an aircraft of less than 7,500 kilograms. But most aircraft flying around the world are much lighter than this. The aircraft can be a single aircraft, like this Cessna, or a twin-engine aircraft, like this beautiful Aerostar, or a helicopter, like this Robinson 26. But the maximum merit for flying around the world is for a pilot to fly around the world in an aircraft she or he has built himself or herself. The first to do this was Don Taylor, who flew around the world in his Thorpe T-18. Actually, the aircraft now is exhibited at the Oshkosh Museum, the EA Museum in Oshkosh. Or like this beautiful Longhesi from United Kingdom. Some pilot flew around the world for a good cause, gathering donation for the charity. The flight can take days, weeks, months, years, can be interrupted. It can be done in an easterly direction, in a westerly direction, or through the poles. The equator does not have to be crossed, except for the FAI circumnavigator badge, it has to be crossed. And of course the flight has to be done between the two Arctic and Antarctic circles, unless it's a polar flight. The main obstacle to fly around the world is crossing the Pacific Ocean. It's a big piece of water and it's very wet. There are three main routes. The southern route between Easter Island and Chile, 2,000 miles. A difficult one because Easter Island no longer carries F-gas. The other one is the central route between Hawaii and California, at 22,000 miles as well. A much safer route because the maritime traffic between California and Hawaii is quite heavy, just in case. And of course the northern route between Siberia and Alaska, or between Alaska and Siberia, much shorter. But unfortunately, since the invasion of Ukraine by the Russian army, the Russian airspace is closed and prohibited to aircraft of some countries. Therefore, aircraft of these countries cannot use it. It's pity because it was a short flight, much easier for small aircraft that don't have the range for the overwater crossing. But there may be some alternative. One is from the northern tip of Hokkaido in Japan to some of the island chain of the Aleutian in Alaska, an example to Adak. And there is even an even shorter route, also from Hokkaido, but to the most southern island, the island of Attu, at the very southern tip of the chain. But unfortunately, the Casco Cove Airport, Alpha Tango Uniform, there has no facility at all, no F-gas. So anyone interested by that route would have to have a support team in Attu with a drum of fuel, a step ladder, and a hand pump. But it can be done. There is a paradox that flying around the world nowadays is both easier and in a way more difficult than in the past. It's easier because there is no longer any pioneering work. Everything is done, everything is known. Good airport, good countries, bad airport, bad country, everything is known. And also with the satellite navigation, satellite communication, satellite tracking, it's much easier. And every modern aircraft now has a glass cockpit, and you just follow the dotted line. Easier. But it is also more difficult because avgas is getting less and less available, and in some countries that don't have a general aviation fleet, airports don't carry avgas for the lack of it. And as I said, the closure for aircraft of some countries of that northern route makes it more difficult. A few numbers. Out of 8 billion people on Earth, we have been told that 4,000 have climbed to the top of Mount Everest, and 500 have been in space. But only 700 have flown around the world, and out of these 700, only 300 are still alive today. Interesting, quite at least. Now we are in 2024. We are celebrating the 100th anniversary of the very first flight around the world by aircraft in 1924, when 4 aircraft of United States Air Service departed from Seattle. 4 departed and 2 finished. So there are a lot of celebration this year in September in Seattle, United States, and at the moment a lot of aircraft are either preparing or are flying now to celebrate this memorable first flight in 1924. The Earthrounders have meeting, trying to have them every 2 years. The inaugural meeting took place in September 2000 in Oshkosh. It was run by the first Earthrounders. That's Maggie Moss and her late husband Gerard, British and Swiss, living in Brazil. They were the pioneers who were the first to fly the southern route between Easter Island and Chile in the Brazilian Sarajevo. Also Hans Gutmann, the late Hans Gutmann of Vienna, Austria, who flew around the world in 1996 in his homemade Lancer, and Claude Meunier of Western Australia in his Aerostar. Here they are, 3 of them. The meeting was quite a success, and Tom Pobrenesi, the president of the EAA, was very enthusiastic and very helpful. That meeting was also the inspiration of newcomers, new pilots saying, why not me? And some of them later on flew around the world as well and became Earthrounders. At the end of this first meeting in 2000, the late Hans Gutmann invited them to Vienna, Austria, where they saw the rich past of the city. And at the end of that meeting, someone asked, Claude, where do we go next? Thinking, and he did reply, I invite you all in Perth, Western Australia, but in 2 years' time, in 2003. And that was the start of that regular trying to have a meeting every 2 years. In 2005, Jorge and Malu Cornish invited them to Mexico City in Mexico, where they discovered tequila. In 2007, they were invited by Frank Hedlick and his wife Doris in Johannesburg, South Africa. Unfortunately, Frank lost his life by ditching in the middle of the Atlantic in his aircraft. But in 2008, his widow, Doris, and her daughters ran the meeting in Johannesburg as Frank would have liked to have it. Thank you, Doris. In 2010, we were invited by the Moss in Brazil. And in 2012 by Bob Gallon in Florida, United States. In 2014, we were invited by the late Sergei Terekin in St. Petersburg in Russia. They could admire the rich palace and museum on the Hermitage. And in 2016, young mates invited them to one of these resorts in central island of Papua New Guinea, and they learned how to make fire by rubbing two fingers. Fascinating. And in 2008, the late Wei Chen invited them in central China to the inauguration of the air show there. Then the pandemic, the Corona-19 pandemic, put a lot of break to a lot of activity, including their meetings. But they started in 2022 when Daniel Remsaya invited them to Chateau-d'Aix in Switzerland. Chateau-d'Aix in Switzerland is the capital for Switzerland of gliding and hot air ballooning. They could watch the désalpage, which is when the cows are brought down from the mountain summer pastures to spend the winter in the valley. And they saw how Swiss cheese is made, some with holes, some without holes. The meeting was a great success, as you can see on the photo. Daniel is the founder of a group of handicapped pilots who fly modified aircraft where all the controls are done by the hands, and that's why it's called handy flights. Where will be the next meeting? As I said, these meetings are on invitation. And at the time of making this video, there are 3 invitations. One in Longreach, Queensland, Australia, the birthplace of Qantas, the Australian airline. One is Buffalo, United States, near the Niagara Falls. And one is Kyrgyzstan, a small mountain country in Asia, Central Asia, between Russia and China. A decision will be made very shortly. The Earthrounders have also an internet site, www.earthrounders.com, which is a link between members where all the information, departures, completion of round-the-world flight are published, and any information of good countries, bad airport, good airport, and so on. There is also the list of the firm giving permits and clearances to fly in foreign countries. A lot of photos of aircraft when possible. There is also a very comprehensive database where flights can be found with very little information available, name of the pilot, brand of aircraft, etc. There is also an interesting page of statistics on flights around the world. An interesting site, and I invite everybody, especially interested in flying around the world, to visit the site. Well, that's it. I hope this short video would answer the question, what is an Earthrounder? But I also hope it would create some inspiration of newcomers to try to fly around the world. Why not enjoying the Earthrounders? Flying around the world. Well, is that not the ultimate destination? I think so. I think it is. I wish you all good weather, blue skies, a lot of tailwinds. Thank you for watching. Cheerio.